Chapter 1192 Battle. Chapter 1192, Battle. How audacious of the light of a firefly to contend with the splendor of the sun and moon. The monarch of Jin Kingdom sneered when he saw Samsara Temple Master making his move, a lance already in hand. The dark as ink lance emanated a terrifying aura. It was a lance that was condensed purely out of monarch of Jin Kingdom's power. He followed suit in taking a step forward. The moment he stepped out, the pitch-black lance had already transformed into a pitch-black lightning bolt. The lightning bolt immediately pierced the void with an explosion. Boom! The lightning bolt caused an immense black hole to form in the void. The black hole began expanding at an astonishing speed and reached hundreds of thousands of miles in no time. Inside this black hole, the monarch of Jin Kingdom's lance had already collided with Samsara Temple Master's most powerful move. Clang! The collision caused an earth-shattering sound. Out of the 9 tau pitch-black ripples from Samsara Temple Master's strike, 3 immediately shattered. The 4th, 5th, and 6th tau followed suit after. The eyes of Samsara Temple Master turned bloodshot, and underneath the black armor, his face was equally as crazed. He had given his all in executing the move. However, sounds of collision reverberated out of the blue. 2 dull sounds of collision reverberated. The 7th and 8th tau pitch-black ripples also dissipated. Insects are still insects at the end of the day. The monarch of Jin Kingdom smiled apathetically. Faint light burst out of the pitch-black lance in his hand, causing its power to heighten drastically. The lance then split open the final black ripple and arrive above Samsara Temple Master without losing any power or momentum. The terrifying impact came drifting towards Samsara Temple Master. Even with his black armor greatly weakening the impact, he nevertheless still made a quiet groan. The chi and blood in him were boiling, causing blood to spew from his mouth. Swoosh! Like an artillery shell, his body subsequently exploded. Samsara. Void Temple Master, Emperor of Tang, Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, and Red Lotus all turned pale with fright. Samsara Temple Master was unmistakably the strongest out of the 5 of them. They were stunned that he was still forced to retreat after using his strongest move on the monarch of Jin Kingdom. How is that a shred of consciousness is this strong? Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword cried in shock. It had not been long since he abruptly ascended the throne. He was not involved in the war 5 million years ago and thus did not see how the monarch of Jin Kingdom had wiped the battlefield clean back then. Jianwu Shuang, who stood some distance away, narrowed his eyes. Even though the puppet fighter that carries his consciousness is only at the universe master level and the power he unleashed would be at a similar level, his realm is too high. The might of the Tao that he created, as well as the numerous secret skills that he possesses, surpassed what we have. In summary, his battle prowess is certainly at the peak of a universe master, the Supreme Universe Master level. Supreme Universe Master? I'm also one. I believe I'm the only one out of the entire Green Fire Palace to stand a fighting chance against him. Since that's the case. Jianwu Shuang held the Blood Mountain sword in his hands, battle intent slowly but fiercely surging within him. Fight! Following the yelling. Right at the next moment, Jianwu Shuang had already floated outward. You Palace Masters play a critical role in the Green Fire Palace. If I can kill you all now, it'll be so much easier for my army to sweep you all clean. The monarch of Jin Kingdom gave a light chuckle as he stared at Samsara Temple Master and the rest. In his eyes was a hint of killing intent. Just then. Buzz. A faint sword echo resounded in the air and an incomparably egotistical aura immediately locked onto the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The monarch of Jin Kingdom turned around with a raised eyebrow. Samsara Temple Master and the rest also heard the sword echo and immediately turned to look at the source of the sound. Jianwu Shuang. They were all stupefied. Their expressions changed drastically when they saw Jianwu Shuang flying straight toward the monarch of Jin Kingdom. Don't be hasty, Jianwu Shuang. Hurry up and retreat. Jianwu Shuang, you're not his match. Hurry up and run. Jianwu Shuang, don't be stupid. The 5 palace masters cried out at the same time, asking Jianwu Shuang to retreat. What a joke. The monarch of Jin Kingdom managed to force Samsara Temple Master to back off even after the latter had used all of his strength. Clearly, the former possessed strength superior to theirs. Their only choice was to work together and pay the price of sacrificing 1 or 2 of them to eliminate the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness. Going one-on-one was no different from digging one's own grave. Jian Wushuang's eyes remained steely even after hearing the cries of the 5 palace masters, showing no desire whatsoever to retreat. The Jin Kingdom experts began to sneer. How interesting. Hotspurs like him are a rare sight in the eternal chaotic world. It's only in completely isolated places like this that we can see something like this. Since you're so desperate to be the first to die, I'll grant your wish. The monarch of Jin Kingdom made his move after speaking. Once again he took a step forward and thrust the pitch-black lance in his hand in the next moment. Boom! The terrifying might caused the world to tremble. The surviving universe masters and celestial masters of the Jin Kingdom quaked in fear from the bottom of their hearts when they sensed this formidable might. There was a rupture in the void as the pitch-black lance directly penetrated Jian Wushuang. However, Jian Wushuang's figure had also abruptly halted. His eyes seemed to be burning with fire as they stared fixedly at the pitch-black lance. He had already lifted the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. The moment he lifted his sword, a buzzing sound resounded and the entire world plunged into darkness. Everything fell into darkness and nothingness. There was no longer any light to be seen. The world also fell into complete stillness. Flabbergasted, the monarch of Jin Kingdom raised his head. He happened to see Jian Wushuang swinging his sword at him. This swing was accompanied by a dazzling ray of light. The dazzling light radiated the world as if it was the first light of dawn rising from the end of the horizon. After 1,800 years of earnest cultivation, this was the strongest move that Jian Wushuang could produce. It was a sword movement in the Supreme Secret level. Dawn had arrived. Supreme Secret. The eyes of Monarch of Jin Kingdom glinted and the might of the lance immediately exploded. Kaboom! The change of the world caused all living things to tremble. The experts in the area couldn't help shrieking in their hearts. That's Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master, Emperor of Tang, Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, Red Lotus, and the 5 Palace Masters widened their eyes. They all stared fixedly at the scene before them. To be more precise, they were staring at the hint of dawn unfolding in the boundless darkness. Under everyone's focused gaze, 2 terrifyingly powerful forces collided with one another. Chapter 1193, I take you in as my personal disciple. Chapter 1193, I take you in as my personal disciple. Boom! The terrifying explosion reverberated in the world as the 2 powers collided, causing the void to rupture frantically. Strong gales from the clash of the 2 energies exploded out. Retreat. Even while grappling with shock, the master of Samsara Temple and the others immediately retreated. With a steely face, Jian Wushuang stood in the center of this powerful collision. His sword light remained as dazzling as ever. He managed to create a supreme secret. The eyes of the monarch of Jin Kingdom glinted as he stared fixedly on Jian Wushuang. He then sneered. Whoosh, whoosh. Both of them were pushed backward by the force at the same time. Thud, 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 thud. Jian Wushuang treaded on the void, each step imbued with million tons of force as he trampled on the void. He took a total of 10 steps backward before stopping. When he once again lifted his head, his battle intent was overpowering. Meanwhile, the monarch of Jin Kingdom had also taken 10 steps backward before stopping. To think that they would be evenly matched in a head-on collision. How is this possible? Red Snow King cried with an unprecedented sense of shock. His eyes were now entirely open as he stared fixedly at Jian Wushuang. The master of Samsara Temple and the rest were also stupefied. Not even the master of Samsara Temple was able to contend with the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness after exerting his full strength. Yet Jian Wushuang was evenly matched with the latter. Was this a joke? 1,800 years. It has only been 1,800 years. Emperor of Tang clasped his hands tightly, a deep sense of surprise coloring his eyes. The master of Samsara Temple and the rest were overjoyed at the unexpected turn of events. They were already deeply shocked when they found out that Jian Wushuang was no weaker than Red Snow King. But they never once thought that the power of Jian Wushuang would be so much more frightening than what they imagination. 1,800 years ago, Jian Wushuang was merely equipped with the battle strength of a universe master. He managed to improve his strength this much in a short span of 1,800 years. What a monster! The palace masters could not suppress their tempestuous hearts. Their lifespans were all incomparably long. Never mind 1,800 years, it would be hard for them to see significant progress in their strength even after 18,000 years. Jian Wushuang's progress was certainly extraordinary. That sword move earlier, Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword's eyes were wide open. The scene of Jian Wushuang unleashing his swordsmanship replayed in his mind over and over. Previously, when another palace master said that he could no longer maintain his position as the top sword cultivator in the Green Fire world, he was unable to accept it. Even though Jian Wushuang had previously shown strength superior to his, the former was an inverse cultivator with many treasures and plethora of tricks. In terms of kendo and swordsmanship, he believed that he was not any weaker than Jian Wushuang. In fact, he might even be stronger. However, now that he had seen that sword move, he no longer harbored any thoughts of competing with Jian Wushuang. That sword strike surpassed everything he knew about swordsmanship. He's the true top sword cultivator of the Green Fire world. Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword exclaimed in a solemn voice. Over on the battlefield, the eyes of the monarch of Jin Kingdom glinted as he looked at Jian Wushuang. "If I'm not mistaken, you ought to be a mere Dao master?" he asked. "So what if it's true?" Jian Wushuang retorted in an icy cold voice. "How extraordinary that a mere Dao master is able to create a swordsmanship of the supreme secret level and possess the battle strength of a universe master. Though I've seen countless talents in the eternal chaotic world, you're much more noteworthy than any of them," the monarch of Jin Kingdom said with a smile. "I'll give you a chance in view of your talent." "Chance? What chance?" Jian Wushuang asked emotionlessly. "I'll give you a chance to swear your allegiance to me," the monarch of Jin Kingdom said, smiling. "My original body will soon be here. When that time comes, I'll sweep this battlefield clean. Of course, that means I'll be destroying all of you Green Fire Palace people as well. You too will die. However, if you swear your allegiance to me, I'll spare your life and even take you in as my personal disciple. The many opportunities and treasures left on this battlefield will belong to us both. What say you? You'll take me in as a personal disciple?" Jian Wushuang could not help sneering. "Jian Wushuang, are you aware of what kind of illustrious existence His Highness is? He founded the great Jin Kingdom but has never taken any personal disciples. His willingness to do so is the result of the accumulation of your luck over your entire lifetime. Won't you hurry up and agree?" Red Snow King cried. "I'm afraid I'm unable to bear the love that the monarch of Jin Kingdom has shown me," Jian Wushuang said coldly. "What?" The eyes of the monarch of Jin Kingdom turned cold. Shaking his head, he said, "That's a pity then. Since you're not willing to accept me as your master and join my camp, that makes you my enemy. I have no choice but to exterminate a talent like you." "Exterminate me? Just based on the little shred of consciousness you have here?" Jian Wushuang mocked. "How would I know if I don't try?" The monarch of Jin Kingdom laughed as he stared fixedly at Jian Wushuang with a pair of icy cold eyes. Strange scarlet rays of light flitted inside his pupils. Buzz. An incorporeal force attacked Jian Wushuang's sea of consciousness. A jolt went through his body but he swiftly recovered. "Consciousness attack?" Jian Wushuang sneered. "You blocked it?" The monarch of Jin Kingdom was rather flabbergasted. "I've truly underestimated you. Looks like I won't be able to kill you with just this shred of consciousness, but we can just wait for my original body to arrive to deal with you. Let me first put things in order here." "With me around, you won't have this opportunity," Jian Wushuang said. "Oh." The monarch of Jin Kingdom narrowed his eyes. Swoosh, swoosh. Their figures vanished at the same time. When they reappeared, they were already locked in a fierce battle. The void around them was instantly crushed as a result of their fight. Wearing an icy cold expression, Jian Wushuang held his trembling Blood Mountain sword in one hand and immediately thrust it at the monarch of Jin Kingdom. Spiritual Dragon. His Blood Mountain sword immediately turned into an immense black dragon that violently tore at the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The monarch of Jin Kingdom appeared tranquil as he threw the pitch-black lance in his hand in a seemingly casual manner. This time, the lance went straight through the immense black dragon and even destroyed the force concealed with the dragon. Spell of Disturbance. Following Jian Wushuang's roar, gale began to rise around them and shadows of the sword burst forth from his hand. In an instant, he created a storm of sword shadows that enveloped the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The terrifying sword shadows abruptly exploded. Chapter 1194 Reincarnation of the Extinguished Consciousness. Chapter 1194 Reincarnation of the Extinguished Consciousness. Interesting. The monarch of Jin Kingdom appeared overjoyed even as he was trapped in the storm of sword shadows. He thrust his pitch-black lance in a seemingly casual manner but happened to block Jian Wushuang's sword at just the right timing. My spell of disturbance pushes the sword principles of the world to its pinnacle. Each sword strike affects time and space at a frighteningly high speed, yet he's able to block each one with such ease? Jian Wushuang frowned. Just show me all that you have, the monarch of Jin Kingdom said with a laugh. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. His figure began to sway and a doppelganger appeared next to him. Oh, a doppelganger? The monarch of Jin Kingdom lifted an eyebrow. Kill? Jian Wushuang's eyes were icy cold as he and his doppelganger brandished their swords side by side. Then, at a lightning speed, they thrust their swords together. Jian Wushuang's doppelganger possessed the exact same sword principles and swordsmanship as him. Could also unleash the stroke of dawn. The only difference was that it was not dressed in the blood-killing plate armor and was thus slightly weaker than Jian Wushuang. However, with this move as a supreme secret level, it still possessed the battle strength of a peak universe master. Master of Samsara Temple. Let's fight together. Jian Wushuang opened his mouth to emit a whistle as he and his doppelganger struck at the same time. All right. The master of Samsara Temple, who had stabilized his injuries, immediately nodded. His body rapidly enlarged and turned into a large vicious beast that was covered in armor. He then charged toward the monarch of Jin Kingdom and arrived in front of the latter. The master of Void Temple, Emperor of Tang, Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, and Red Lotus could only watch as the master of Samsara Temple joined Jian Wushuang. Red Lotus could, at most, impose slight suppression on the monarch of Jin Kingdom with his 9 Serenities domain. There was nothing concrete that they could do against such a powerful enemy like the monarch of Jin Kingdom. Considering their strength, any show of carelessness on the battlefield will just give the monarch an opportunity to kill them. The war between the Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom was imminent, and any difference in realm and battle strength was vital in determining the outcome of the war. They would not hastily try and take down the monarch of Jin Kingdom unless it was absolutely necessary. With Jian Wushuang, his doppelganger, and the master of Samsara Temple working together, coupled with Red Lotus 9 Serenities domain aiding their fight, it was enough to take down the manifestation of the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness. Kill. Die. The three of them unleashed their greatest battle potential. In particular, Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was sharp and precise. In terms of battle strength, he was not weaker than the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness in the slightest. Under successive attacks from all three of them, the monarch of Jin Kingdom immediately fell to a state of disadvantage. Not long after. Humph. The master of Samsara Temple harumphed coldly as he took advantage of the gap when the monarch of Jin Kingdom was resisting Jian Wushuang's sword. With his large body, he slammed into the monarch with the force of a mountain. The puppet fighter that housed the monarch's consciousness immediately became damaged and part of his arm shattered from the force of the collision. The eyes of Jian Wushuang and the master of Samsara Temple brightened up when they saw this scene. Sure enough. Jian Wushuang smirked. This soul-luring trick draws only the monarch's consciousness, but its body is still that of a puppet fighter of the level of a universe master with ordinary defensive capabilities. It doesn't have any self-protection methods either, and any ordinary universe master would be able to cause such damage if their attack lands on the puppet fighter's body. Let alone the master of Samsara Temple's brutal attack. Moreover, the monarch couldn't restore the damaged parts of the puppet fighter. The monarch of Jin Kingdom saw a sharp decline in his battle strength after the master of Samsara Temple slammed into him. He was subsequently put under even stronger suppression. The puppet fighter soon reached the fringe of complete destruction. The monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness remained in the puppet fighter, but he could also detect that his vessel had reached its limit. Even so, he showed no anger. His face remained as cold as ever. Jian Wushuang, I have remembered you. It won't be long before my true body arrives. I want to see if how your Green Fire Palace resist me then. Don't think that you'll have the opportunity to live just because you've ruined our foundation here. It's impossible. I've made preparations this time. It doesn't matter what tricks you people have up your sleeves, everything will end up being destroyed. Wait for your deaths. The monarch of Jin Kingdom's voice reverberated in the air like the booming of thunder. The sound did not dissipate for a long time. However, the puppet fighter had thoroughly frittered away and his consciousness also disappeared. Jian Wushuang and the master of Samsara Temple hovered in the void as they stared at the puppet fighter, slowly falling to the ground. Their expressions were as grave as ever. If his consciousness alone is this difficult to handle, just how terrifying would the real thing be? Jianghu tightly clasped his hands, his eyes clouded over. The monarch of Jin Kingdom was unable to unleash many of his skills and tricks, including his strength, due to the limitations of his vessel. Even so, he was only defeated when Jianghu used his doppelganger and with the help of the master of Samsara Temple. The monarch himself ought to be tenfold, perhaps even hundredfold, stronger. What could the Green Fire Palace do to resist the monarch of Jin Kingdom when he descends on this battlefield? Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The master of the Void Temple, Emperor of Tang, Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, and Red Lotus flew over to them. Jianghu. The four palace masters, including the master of Samsara Temple, looked at him gratefully. This time, they had come here with the intention of destroying the former capital of the Jin Kingdom as well as the kingdom's foundation in this battlefield. Yet they did not expect that the kingdom would once again use the soul-luring skill and draw the consciousness of the monarch of Jin Kingdom here. Were it not for Jianghu making a prompt move, the monarch's consciousness could very well slaughter them all. The five of them might not be able to survive this. Jianghu strength had also stunned them. The top expert of the Green Fire Palace was previously the master of Samsara Temple. However, after this battle, the position belonged to Jianghu. The only problem was that no one had the mood to bring this up under such circumstances. After all, this was a problem that determined the survival of the entire Green Fire Palace, and even the Green Fire world. Everyone, what happened to the other Jin Kingdom experts? Jianghu asked. While Jianghu and the master of Samsara Temple were working together to exterminate the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness, the other three worked to complement Red Lotus 9 Serenity's domain and slaughter all the Jin Kingdom experts. Few of the Jin Kingdom could escape thanks to Red Lotus 9 Serenity's domain. Most of the holy masters were killed, with only a few lucky ones fleeing. The universe masters are all dead except for Red Snow King. The master of Void Temple answered. Chapter 1195, 80 Years. Chapter 1195, 80 Years. Red Snow King escaped? Jianghu frowned. It's my fault, the master of Void Temple said, taking the blame for what happened. The cunning Red Snow King immediately fled when he saw that the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness wasn't going to last. Even though I managed to react in time and work together with Red Lotus to stop him, he still managed to run. Red Snow King possesses the battle strength of a peak universe master. It's normal that you fail to stop him, the master of Samsara Temple said. Jianghu gave a small nod. Whatever the case, we fulfilled our objective of our war this time. You're right. We did it. The five palace masters began to smile. Even though they were still under immense pressure, they had still successfully destroyed the plans of the former capital of the Jin Kingdom. Their objective was essentially fulfilled. This was a great victory for them. With this great victory, they could still put up a struggle against the main Jin army. If the Green Fire Palace lost this war, then it would truly be the arrival of Judgment Day for them. The former capital of the Jin Kingdom is now destroyed. Even though there are still surviving experts on this battlefield, all of them except for Red Snow King are insignificant for us. We can now destroy their foundation here without worries. Before the army arrives, they wouldn't have any way of resisting us, the master of Samsara Temple said. Emperor of Tang, Rising Sun, Red Lotus, I'll leave the task of destroying the foundation of Jin Kingdom to you three. You must work quickly. No problem. The three of them nodded. The former capital of the Jin Kingdom was already destroyed. Eradicating their foundation would be as easy as blowing off dust. Void, Jianghu, the three of us will immediately return to the Green Fire Palace and prepare for the upcoming war. Moreover, we must announce the news of this decisive battle, the master of Samsara Temple continued. Jianghu and the master of Void Temple wore solemn expressions. They were well aware that the upcoming war would dictate the life and death of the Green Fire Palace and all the experts must be gathered for it. The only way for them to resist the offensive forces of the Jin Kingdom, and perhaps even prevail, was to gather and unite all the high-level forces of the Green Fire world. Red Lotus, did you record the scene of the battle today with your mirror image token? The master of Samsara Temple asked, turning toward Red Lotus. I did. Red Lotus nodded. He took out a token and handed it to the master of Samsara Temple. This is great. The Jin Kingdom is too strong. If we just announce the news just like that, the experts of our Green Fire world will certainly be alarmed. But after this battle today, we can certainly lift their morale. The Master of Samsara Temple said solemnly. Morale was a crucial point looking at how imminent the war was. The palace masters of the Green Fire Palace did not simply wage today just to destroy the foundation of the Jin Kingdom in this battlefield. They wanted to boost the morale of the entire Green Fire world at the same time. They wanted to give the Green Fire world hope of a victory, as only then would the experts unite and display their full strength. Let's go. Jianwu Shuang and the other 6 palace masters immediately separated to go about their respective tasks. Emperor of Tang, Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, and Red Lotus destroyed the foundation of Jin Kingdom in this battlefield. Jianwu Shuang, Master of the Samsara Temple, and Master of the Void Temple returned to the Green Fire Palace using the shortest time possible, where they immediately began gathering the experts of the palace. In the dark and boundless void over on the edge of the enormous battlefield, there was a large tunnel carved into the dark and boundless void, and at the end of it was an ancient and immense spaceship slowly traveling along it. There was an impressively vast hall in the center of the spaceship. Inside, a devilishly handsome young man dressed in a luxurious golden robe reclined on a golden throne. Faint golden lights were glinting in his pupils. He was currently wearing a strange smile. Jianwu Shuang. Interesting. I never thought there'd be such an exceptional talent residing in the tiny Green Fire world. He's only a Dao master but possesses the unparalleled battle strength of a universe master. I've never even heard of something like this. This youngster's potential is certainly unpredictable. What a pity that he's unwilling to be my disciple. If that's the case, I must eliminate such an exceptional talent like him at the roots. The handsome young man's eyes gradually turned cold. Jiushi, the man called. The cool and elegant woman standing quietly at the end of the hall looked over. Lord Jin Feng, she answered. The handsome man in a golden robe was the monarch of Jin Kingdom. His real name was Jin Feng. Most experts of the Jin Kingdom addressed him as Lord Monarch. Jiushi was the only one to call him Lord Jin Feng. This showed that she did not belong to the kingdom. How much longer will it take for my spaceship to arrive to that battlefield? The monarch of Jin Kingdom asked. The void here is rather strange. Moreover, the Green Fire world can use this void to arrange formations. In fact, their people are currently using their grand formation to obstruct the speed of the spaceship. There's nothing I can do but to steer the spaceship slowly through this tunnel. I think it'll take us at least another 80 years to reach there, Jiushi said. 80 years is a pretty long time, the monarch of Jin Kingdom said, frowning. He had spent a whopping 5 million years to enter that battlefield, so 8 short years ought to be nothing to him. He was only this anxious after seeing an existence in the Green Fire world that would pose a great threat to him. This existence was none other than Jianwu Shuang. That Jianwu Shuang is extraordinarily talented. He now possesses the unparalleled battle strength of a universe master, but once he makes yet another breakthrough to the Holy Master level, his strength would rise significantly. He might be able to contend with me then, and that would make my task of destroying the Green Fire world a lot more difficult. 80 years seem like a short time, but a talent like him might be able to find a breakthrough opportunity in that time. The monarch of Jin Kingdom sighed. He then asked Jiushi, can't we use the speed of the spaceship to forcefully pass through this tunnel? No. Jiushi shook her head. It took me a bit of luck to create this tunnel itself, for it's not an easy task. I can't guarantee that this tunnel is stable. If we force our way through, this tunnel might collapse on us and all our efforts will be in vain. If there's nothing we can do, then so be it. The monarch of Jin Kingdom shook his head before looking at Jiushi again. Have you prepared what I told you to prepare? Of course. The preparations are finally ready after spending hundreds of thousands of years and sacrificing much, Jiushi answered with a laugh. Very well. Then we'll allow the Green Fire world to exist for another 8 years. 80 years later, no one will be able to stop me. The monarch of Jin Kingdom's evil aura rose sharply. Chapter 1196, The Announcement of the Great War. Chapter 1196, The Announcement of the Great War. There were a large number of people standing on a large empty ground within the Green Fire Palace. Not long ago, the Master of Samsara Temple ordered that all the holy masters of the palace gather here. Whether they were in the palace, out adventuring on the battlefield, or cultivating behind closed doors, the holy masters came to this spot as swiftly as possible. Most of them were confused and doubtful of the reason for their gathering. What's going on? They gathered all the holy masters, even those out on the battlefield. Look, isn't that Holy Master Yun? It's really him. That's the oldest existence in our Green Fire Palace. Moreover, he has shut himself in without seeing anyone for a long time. To think that even he would show up. Something must have happened for them to call for such a large-scale gathering. Could it be a war against the Jin Kingdom? The empty ground was abuzz with discussion. Swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, two persons appeared in the void in front of the empty ground. These two were the Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple. Greetings, Master of Samsara Temple, Master of Void Temple. The holy masters gathered on the empty ground immediately paid their respects. The Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple exchanged looks. Let's begin, the Master of Void Temple said. The Master of Samsara Temple nodded. He then addressed the crowd in a booming voice saying, Everyone, there's only one reason behind this gathering today. I'm sure many of you have already guessed this reason, that is, a war is about to break out between the Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom. These words swept the holy masters on the empty ground like wildfire. The war is here as expected. It's finally here. I wonder if it's our side or the other side who waged the war. Since our forces are a little weaker than the forces of the Jin Kingdom, logic dictates that the Jin Kingdom is the one to incite the war. Humph! This Jin Kingdom sure is audacious. Even with our weaknesses, we ultimately still won the war against them 5 million years ago. And they dare wage a war against us now that our forces are not much weaker than theirs? They're really digging their own graves, aren't they? Many of the holy masters began gearing up for a fight. The Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom had a long history of enmity. Aside from the war 5 million years ago, there had been countless battles between the two. The grudge accumulated over the years was unimaginably deep. Many of them had lost their friends to the Jin Kingdom. Naturally, they sought revenge against the latter. The Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple both secretly shook their heads after seeing the current scene. Everyone, this wouldn't be an ordinary war. It involves the life and death of the entire Green Fire world. Any mishap in our domain will be completely annihilated, the Master of Samsara Temple said solemnly. What? Many of the holy masters on the empty ground raised their heads to look at him. To them, the current strength of the Green Fire Palace was enough for them to block the attacks of the Jin Kingdom. Why would the situation worsen to the point that their survival would be at stake? The Master of Samsara Temple did not elaborate. With a wave of his hand, a scene began playing in the void in front of him. Naturally, the scene was of the immense tunnel outside the battlefield as well as the spaceship slowly traveling inside of it. What's that? The holy masters appeared alarmed to see the spaceship depicted in the scene. You've all seen this. The Master of Samsara Temple continued solemnly, this spaceship is just the reinforcement of the Jin Kingdom but also its main force. It's personally manned by the Supreme Monarch of the Kingdom. It's now in the void outside the battlefield and it'll take at most 80 years before it arrives. When the time comes, the spaceship under the command of the Monarch of Jin Kingdom will certainly incite a war that will destroy our Green Fire world. And this war will be even more dangerous for us than the one 5 million years ago. What? Many holy masters on the ground were dumbfounded. The Green Fire Palace and the entire Green Fire world had paid an unimaginable price for winning the war 5 million years ago. Countless experts gave their lives to block the attacks from the Jin Kingdom. Back then, the Green Fire world was already towing the line between life and death. But this war will be even more dangerous. A considerable amount of holy masters began to dread the upcoming war. I don't wish to scare you, but there are things that I must inform you all, the Master of Samsara Temple said in a booming voice. This war is different from the one 5 million years ago. This time the Jin Kingdom will come prepared. In fact, they will even come full force to wipe out our Green Fire world to make it easier to occupy the battlefield. In my conservative estimates, they have brought at least several times the number of experts they brought 5 million years ago. Moreover, their monarch, who is considered a supreme expert above the universe master level, will command them personally. In our palace and even in the entire domain, we don't have any peak experts who can contend with the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The holy masters on the empty ground immediately paled after hearing his words. There will be several times more experts this time than the war 5 million years ago. The monarch of Jin Kingdom will personally come here. How can our Green Fire Palace resist such a terrifying force? We're done for. This is the end for our Green Fire world. Shrill voices that carried alarm reverberated in the empty ground. Many of the holy masters wore expressions of defeat. This was only to be expected. The forces of the Jin Kingdom this time was too formidable. Furthermore, there would be several times more experts who would arrive this time compared to 5 million years ago. It had been a great struggle to resist the Jin Kingdom then, but there was now even more Jin Kingdom experts who would soon storm their domain. Moreover, the monarch would be personally leading the Jin Kingdom experts. What could the Green Fire Palace do to resist them? The Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple took in the expressions of the holy masters on the empty ground. Their own faces darkened a little. This was precisely what they worried about the most. This was merely an announcement of the upcoming war, not the war itself, and yet the Green Fire Palace experts were already in such a state of panic and fear. In fact, some already felt hopeless. When the forces of Jin Kingdom descend on them, they would truly be in a vulnerable state. Humph! The Master of Samsara Temple suddenly let out a loud sneer that exerted a heavy pressure on the holy masters underneath. The holy masters could not help quivering under such pressure, and all of them began to shut their mouths. Chapter 1197, The Scene. Chapter 1197, The Scene. Look at your faces. Look at how you're behaving. There was anger concealed in the voice of the Master of Samsara Temple as his voice reverberated in the ears of the holy masters gathered like the booming of thunder. Useless fools, the Master of Void Temple roared furiously. The holy masters were thunderstruck. The Master of Samsara Temple continued, if you're this fearful before the forces of the Jin Kingdom arrive, the people of our Green Fire world can just sit and wait for our deaths when they truly descend on us. Humph! The Master of Void Temple once again snorted coldly, the sound like a harsh rap on the hearts of the holy masters. Listen up, all of you. Even though the forces of the Jin Kingdom are formidable, we aren't the same Green Fire world of 5 million years ago. If we unite and work together, there's still hope of survival. Moreover, so what if we can't block the attacks of the Jin Kingdom and get annihilated? Even a beast that has no intelligence will bare its fangs and launch a final attack in the face of certain death. It will strive to break its enemy's jaw even at the cost of its life. But look at you all. Have you all lived for so long that you have lost even this bit of enthusiasm? Do we not even have the most basic courage to fight even when we are facing formidable enemies? The words of the Master of Void Temple reverberated in the hearts of the holy masters, many of whom who appeared sheepish. There were also those who looked fired up. Enthusiasm. It was something that existed in everyone. Even though these holy masters had lived very long lives until they were all wizened, the passion rooted in their bones never once dissipated with age. Even if your passion is all but gone due to your age, you still have your pride, don't you? The Master of Void Temple continued, his gaze sweeping the holy masters. I'll now show you another scene. I want you to look carefully. He then waved his hand and a scene immediately appeared in the void. The first scene surprisingly depicted the area that was shrouded in the purple mist. That's the former capital of the Jin Kingdom? Recognizing the area shrouded in purple mist at once, the holy masters all wore expressions of confusion over the intentions of the Master of Void Temple. Just then, a streak of light was immediately thrown into the purple mist. An earth-shattering explosion followed and the purple mist promptly dissipated. The 4 palace masters, the Master of Samsara Temple, the Master of Void Temple, Emperor of Tang, and Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, immediately charged at a puppet fighter. The holy masters on the empty ground looked astonished. The former capital of the Jin Kingdom? The 4 palace masters attacked the former capital of the Jin Kingdom? Those puppet fighters were of the universe master level? This. The scene of the experts from the Jin Kingdom and the Green Fire Palace wearing played. The Master of Samsara Temple had immediately demonstrated his overwhelming strength to suppress Red Snow King. Red Lotus had unleashed his 9 Serenities world that unveiled pressure over the entire battlefield and killed a large number of holy masters from the Jin Kingdom. The Master of Samsara Temple is so powerful. That's Red Lotus 9 Serenities world? The 5 great palace masters of the Green Fire Palace had gone all out. Emotional sighs and exclamations resounded throughout the empty ground. Open your eyes wide for the next scene, the Master of Void Temple suddenly said, giving them a reminder. The Holy Masters stared carefully at the unfolding scene, and as expected, they saw a great shift in the battle. They saw a cold sword light rising from a corner of the battlefield and exterminating King Golden Rock of the Jin Kingdom at lightning speed. Oh my God, King Golden Rock is killed. What speed? Who is it? Who's the one responsible for that swordsmanship? Amid the sea of exclamations, the scene depicted a silhouette charging toward King Fantastical Heaven and killed him at a similarly terrifying swordsmanship and speed. It was only then that they got a clear look at the figure. That's. The Holy Masters stared fixedly at the figure depicted on the scene. Then a commotion broke out. Jianghu Shuang. That's Jianghu Shuang. Jianghu Shuang. How could it be Jianghu Shuang? Jianghu Shuang didn't die. They were all shocked. It was the 5 palace masters who personally announced Jianghu Shuang's death 1,800 years ago. It had been a collective loss for them. Yet they saw Jianghu Shuang once again, who now slaughtered holy masters like he was slaughtering chickens. The following scene was akin to a great massacre as Jianghu Shuang killed another universe master of the Jin Kingdom. He alone had killed 3 great universe masters of the Jin Kingdom. Then they saw Red Snow King using his soul-luring skill to bring the descent of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom upon them. Even the master of Samsara Temple suffered defeat in the hands of the manifestation of the monarch's consciousness. Their hearts thumped furiously as they watched. Many of them even wore expressions of fear, conveying their dread of the might of the monarch of Jin Kingdom. Suddenly Jianghu Shuang once again made his move. The Holy Masters once again made a ruckus when they saw Jianghu Shuang making his move. What a joke. The monarch defeated even the master of Samsara Temple. What's Jianghu Shuang doing going up to him alone like that? Reckless. He's too reckless. This Jianghu Shuang. He ought to be teaming up with the palace masters and fight the manifestation of the monarch's consciousness. Quite a few people bristled. However, the following scene silenced them. They watched as Jianghu Shuang unleashed his gleaming sword and exchanged blows with the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The outcome was surprisingly an equaled match. It was a true equaled match. He. Not even the master of Samsara Temple is a match for the monarch, but Jianghu Shuang. He's capable of contending with the monarch? How could he be that strong? He's far too strong. These holy masters were all dumbfounded. Then the scene showed them how Jianghu Shuang demonstrated the entirety of his strength and how he and his doppelganger worked with the master of Samsara Temple to finally crush the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness. The scene also showed how the Jin Kingdom experts were massacred. The scene kept going for a while before finally ending. The holy masters gathered on the ground stood there speechlessly, looking stupefied. Emotions surged violently within them. The master of Samsara Temple and the master of Void Temple silently took in the expressions of the holy masters. After a while, the former finally opened his mouth to speak in a chilly voice. Have you taken a good look? Silence fell over the holy masters. Humph. The voice of the master of Samsara Temple was icy cold. How many years have you all been living? How many thousands and hundreds of thousands have it been? There are those among you who have lived for millions of years. Even the youngest of you lot are 100,000s or even million years old. Yet look at Jianghu Shuang. Chapter 1198, The Sixth Palace Master. Chapter 1198, The Sixth Palace Master. It hasn't even been 5,000 years since Jianghu Shuang began his cultivation. But when he found out that war is imminent and that our green fire world is in danger, what did he do? He teamed up with us to attack the former capital of the Jin Kingdom, slaughter the enemies, and destroy the remnants of the kingdom's foundation on this battlefield, all to eke out a tiny hope of survival for us. But this means that the Jin Kingdom will know he's still alive and will most certainly target him. We can say that he's already cornered himself to the edge of the cliff for the sake of our green fire world. If the army of Jin Kingdom truly descends upon us, he would be the first one they wish to kill. But look at all of you. Did you spend so many years living only to become a coward? The master of Samsara Temple scolded the holy masters. The holy masters gathered around were all ashamed of themselves. It was true that Jianghu Shuang had pushed himself to the brink of death when he attacked the monarch of Jin Kingdom. He had done it for the sake of the green fire world. They, who were many years older than Jianghu Shuang, appeared to be so much inferior in contrast. This inferiority was not only in terms of strength but courage as well. If we're talking about strength, I know I'm no match for Jian Wushuang. But when it comes to passion, I'm not any weaker. I've long found my long life to be sufficient. If a youngster like Jian Wushuang isn't afraid of the forces of the Jin Kingdom, what do I have to fear? Come at me, Jin Kingdom. If worst comes to worst, I'll just die. Let's have an all-out war against the Jin Kingdom. Even if we die in the end, we must still unfang the Jin Kingdom before that. Booming voices resounded on the empty ground as these holy masters began to get fired up. The master of Samsara Temple and the master of Void Temple wore satisfied smiles on their faces when they saw this scene. They tried to use Jian Wushuang's bravery to provoke these holy masters, and from the looks of it, their plan worked rather effectively. The passion in these holy masters had been thoroughly invoked. Their morale was largely boosted as well. Swoosh! Just then Jian Wushuang appeared next to the master of Samsara Temple. Boom! A majestic and boundless air surged from within him and pervaded every corner of the empty ground. Silence once again fell over the holy masters. Listen well. From today onward, Jian Wushuang is the 6th palace master of our Green Fire Palace. His position is equivalent to mine. The master of Samsara Temple announced in a booming voice. Greetings, Palace Master. Greetings, Palace Master. The holy masters underneath them all paid their respects to Jian Wushuang, fervent energy burning in their eyes. Jian Wushuang stood there, overlooking everything underneath. His expression was rather strange. Master of Samsara Temple, isn't this a little too much? He asked via telepathy. He noticed that the determined look on the holy masters. Evidently they had prepared themselves for certain death. Too much. The master of Samsara Temple shook his head. There's only a shred of hope for our Green Fire world, and this shred of hope is only possible if we all carry the determination to die. It's only when we're prepared to pay any price that we can hold on to the hope. This includes even me and all those who will participate in the war. Everyone must carry the determination to die. Jian Wushuang, you must also mentally prepare yourself. Jian Wushuang was stunned but promptly recovered and nodded seriously. There are 80 years before the army of Jin Kingdom will arrive. Even though 80 years aren't a long time, it's also a rare chance for us to make our preparations. Go and prepare for the war. The master of Samsara Temple's voice rang in their ears. The holy masters of the Green Fire Palace immediately set out to do as ordered. Jian Wushuang, the master of Samsara Temple, and the master of Void Temple were seated inside a towering palace. Jian Wushuang will typically hold a 3-day banquet to celebrate the appointment of a new palace master, but we couldn't do so due to the urgency of the situation, the master of Samsara Temple said. No matter. It's not too late to hold a banquet when we claim victory 80 years later, Jian Wushuang said with a chuckle. You're right. The master of Samsara Temple laughed. The war this time will be more perilous than the one 5 million years ago, but our Green Fire world isn't completely helpless. If we unite and do whatever necessary, we stand at least a 10% chance of victory. 10% chance of victory? Jian Wushuang's heart thumped. He found the estimation to be too optimistic. There will be countless experts in the army of Jin Kingdom this time, including the monarch himself. Their collective strength was at least 10 times stronger than that of the Green Fire world. It was already a miracle that they have any hope of winning considering how disparate their forces were. The master of Samsara Temple looked at Jian Wushuang. What? Do you find it unbelievable? Yes. Jian Wushuang gave a small nod. The master of Samsara Temple burst out laughing. Beside him, the master of Void Temple was also smiling. The former then continued, Jian Wushuang, you've only become an official palace master today and don't know many of the true secrets of our palace. I'll inform you now. Secrets. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. You should be very well aware that the battlefield that we are on contains countless opportunities and treasures. The battlefield itself is such a priceless treasure that even the Jin Kingdom, that originates from the ancient world, desperately covets it. And yet our Green Fire Palace has existed in this place for more than 40 million years. How can our palace be underestimated when we have accumulated resources over a whopping 40 million years? The master of Samsara Temple laughed. You've seen the puppet fighter on the Universe Master level. Even though it's one of our treasures, but it can't be considered as our true trump card. There are 3 true trump cards in the Green Fire Palace. Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. 3 trump cards. He had previously guessed that the Green Fire Palace would certainly have trump cards in hand after so many years on the battlefield. Today he was proven correct. However, he did not know what those trump cards were. Our first trump card is our tactical formation, the master of Samsara Temple said. Tactical formation? Surprise flitted across Jianghu Shuang's expression. He was familiar with formations, but he had never heard of a tactical formation. Jianghu Shuang, do you remember how you and your father killed the ancient demon clan back in the Samsara continent when rescuing your mother? The master of Samsara Temple asked. Of course. Jianghu Shuang nodded. Then you must also remember that the ancient demon clan dispatched their 9 divine guards who made up an ancient god tactical formation, he continued asking with a smile. Ancient god tactical formation? Jianghu Shuang's heart jolted. Naturally, he remembered that ancient god tactical formation. The 9 divine guards had been mere Tao masters of varying strengths, but when they paired with the ancient god lineage and teamed up to constitute the ancient god tactical formation, their collective might was incredible. In fact, they were strong enough to rival a holy master. Chapter 1199, The Trump Cards of Green Fire Palace. Chapter 1199, The Trump Cards of Green Fire Palace. The 9 of them are just Tao masters, but put them together and their strength equals that of a celestial master. The ancient god battle formation had left a lasting impression on Jianghu Shuang. Samsara Temple Master laughed. The ancient god battle formation is a kind of tactical formations. It's not a particularly strong one. Do you mean that there's an even better formation in Green Fire Palace? Jianghu Shuang asked. Yes. Samsara Temple Master nodded. The huge battlefield is the product of an earth-shaking battle. Both the number of experts participating in that battle and their strength are all far beyond my imagination. In that battle, experts from both sides used tactical formations. Since many died, their tactical formations were also left there. We've obtained several tactical formations over the past 400 million years, but they're all extraordinary, so they're put to use in the Green Fire world. Thus, they're not available at the Firepoint's exchange office. But it's now time to use them here with the decisive battle with the Jin Kingdom looming. Void and I have already informed all experts residing in the Green Fire world about the upcoming battle as well as the strong enemies that they should watch out for. We also ordered all experts over the Tao Master level to join the battle. Experts over the Tao Master level to join the battle? Jianghu Shuang was shocked. There were 2 continents in the Green Fire world. In Samsara continent alone, there were billions of people, countless factions and innumerable Tao Masters. The vast Void continent was also home to a lot of Tao Masters. It was difficult to even imagine just how many experts over the Tao Master level would there be in the entire Green Fire world. Moreover, they were now all ordered to go to war. The Jin Kingdom will be going all out in this war, but they'll likely just send Universe and Celestial Masters here. Since we don't have as many Universe and Celestial Masters on our side, all we can do is make up for the power imbalance with the numbers of our Tao Masters. Samsara Temple Master added. Great power in numbers? Jianghu Shuang blurted out. Yes. Great power in numbers, Samsara Temple Master said. It was our huge population, especially our huge number of Tao Masters, that narrowed the gap in experts of high realms between 2 sides 5 million years ago. That was how we withstood the attack of the Jin Kingdom. So will we this time. Normally, these Tao Masters could only be cannon fodder in the battlefield. But it's a completely different situation if they team up to form a tactical formation. Samsara Temple Master's eyes turned cold. We've gained various tactical formations. The simple ones need only 10 Tao Masters to unleash a strength that rivals a Celestial Master. When hundreds of Tao Masters work together to form even larger formations, their power could equal that of the tactical formation of an advanced Celestial Master and even one in the exceptional realm. For higher level. If thousands of Tao Masters work together, their battle strength equals that of a Universe Master. Jianghu Shuang could not help secretly exclaiming to himself as he listened. Usually, a normal Tao Master would be no more than cannon fodder if he fought alone in a battle of such level. Even the small sliver of power in the aftermath could kill a Tao Master, never mind trying to make a difference in the battlefield. If they worked together, however, it was a whole other story. Of course, there's a limit to how much these formations can help us. It's our 2 remaining trump cards that we're counting on, Samsara Temple Master said. What are they? Jianghu Shuang asked. One of them is the land we stand upon, Samsara Temple Master answered. Land? Jian Wushuang was startled. You mean the land where Green Fire Palace lies? Our base? Correct. Samsara Temple Master smiled. You've been here for quite some time. Surely you must be aware of the uniqueness of this land. Yes. Jian Wushuang solemnly nodded. Cultivation is much more effective here. Besides, the palaces, attics, flowers, and trees could never be destroyed. That's quite unique. Of course. Why else would we choose to build our base here? Samsara Temple Master replied, smiling. Follow me. Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master led Jian Wushuang to the most secret chamber of Green Fire Palace. The chamber lay deep underground in the center of the palace. It was covered with restrictions that prevented even celestial and universe masters from forcing their way in. Jian Wushuang entered the secret chamber under Samsara Temple Master's guidance. The floating luminous pearls immediately caught his eye when he entered. The pearls of varying colors were distinctive. Void Temple Master, Samsara Temple Master, Palace Master Jian Wushuang. A white-haired elder in front of the luminous pearls exclaimed. Celestial Master Yun? Jian Wushuang's expression betrayed his surprise. Celestial Master Yun is the oldest Celestial Master in Green Fire Palace. His position is no lower than us Palace Masters. He's in charge of the formation cast over the battlefield as well the land where our palace sits, said Samsara Temple Master. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He knew that Celestial Master Dao Yun enjoyed an esteemed position and commanded a deep respect from the palace masters but did not expect Dao Yun to be in charge of such important things. Celestial Master Yun, let Jian Wushuang look at the land we're on. Samsara Temple Master smiled. All right. Yun nodded and showed Jian Wushuang a luminous pearl. You'll be able to get the complete overview of the land through this pearl, even the deepest corners of it, he said. Jian Wushuang immediately poured his soul power into the pearl. A short moment later he retrieved his soul power. His face was now pale with shock and horror. Is this place a battle fortress? Jian Wushuang cried. Samsara Temple Master laughed. Yes, it's a battle fortress. This land is a mobile battle fortress. It's formidable because we can both attack and defend here. Unfortunately, when we found and occupied this fortress, 90% of it was damaged. The only things left were only some basic defense or attack skills. Even so, it's still our killing weapon. To a great extent, we owe our victory 500 million years ago to this battle fortress. Chapter 1200, The Battle Fortress. Chapter 1200, The Battle Fortress. Shock gripped Jian Wushuang. He could tell that this land was extraordinary but never expected it to be a huge battle fortress. So it's a battle fortress. Gu King, who parasitized Jian Wushuang, was also amazed. It's a challenge to refine a battle fortress. In the eternal chaotic world, even the lowest level battle fortress is worth far more than a chaos magic treasure. The high-level ones are killing machines and an absolute nightmare. This battle fortress is a high-level one and is invaluable despite being 90% destroyed. If it's intact, its value would be even higher than normal Chaos Divine treasures. It's more valuable than Chaos Divine treasures? Jian Wushuang was stunned. This is getting interesting. To think that such a high-level battle fortress would appear in this battlefield and greatly destroyed at that. I'm really curious what sort of war formed this vast battlefield. Gu King sighed. Can we fight the Jin Kingdom with such a strong battle fortress? Jian Wushuang asked quietly. A direct fight? Gu King laughed. Never mind that, you can even wipe out the entire Jin Kingdom with ease if you can maximize whatever potential left of this battle fortress. The problem is that you can't. This fortress is like a baby equipped a peerless sword. It's a good sword but the baby can't demonstrate its power at all. What is the use? It can't be used? Jian Wushuang frowned. Jian Wushuang, ask them what other means left in the battle fortress that are of use, said Gu King. Jian Wushuang did as requested. Samsara Temple Master momentarily paused before answering. There are many useful methods in the fortress but their levels are too high. Even some basic attacking methods require the command of dozens of and even hundreds of experts over the Universe Master level. We're not strong enough to use some of the attacking methods of the fortress. The only offense we can use is the Divine Rays of the North. It's the weakest attacking method in the fortress but it's still something to contend with. One streak of divine rays of the north can easily kill a universe master, but it's not strong enough to kill experts as strong as Monarch of the Jin Kingdom. However, there aren't many divine rays of the north left. There are only 20 left. Divine rays of the north? Gu Qing's voice resounded inside Jian Wushuang's mind. Its one break carries about the same force as an attack from experts as strong as the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom. It's more than enough to kill a universe master, but it's no more than a wild wish to kill the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom. In other words, we can find an opportunity to kill the 20 universe masters of the Jin Kingdom with this fortress. Jian Wushuang clasped his hands. You can put it that way. We fully utilized the divine rays of the north in the battle 5 million years ago and killed many Jin Kingdom experts, Samsara Temple Master said. In addition, though we have few usable attacking methods, there are still the basic defense movements in this fortress. Even the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom won't be able to break these defense formations. We can rely on the fortress to take the initiative and fight or retreat at our will. There is nothing the Jin Kingdom can do about us. Doesn't that make us invincible? Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed. It's not that simple. Samsara Temple Master shook his head. The fortress can only withstand the attack of the Jin Kingdom. If they ignore us and attack the Green Fire World instead, is it reasonable for us to stay here and watch them to destroy the Green Fire World? That makes sense. Jian Wushuang nodded solemnly. The Green Fire World sat right behind Green Fire Palace. Once the Green Fire Palace experts retreat to the fortress and stop putting up a fight, it was likely that the Jin Kingdom would charge toward the Green Fire World to force the Green Fire Palace experts out. Even so, this fortress allows the Green Fire World to cope more easily with the Jin Kingdom experts. If any of us sustain life-threatening injuries, we can run to the fortress and recover, Jian Wushuang said. That's the idea. Samsara Temple Master nodded with a smile. This fortress is undoubtedly our most powerful trump card. Moreover, there's our second trump card too, a puppet fighter. A puppet fighter? Jian Wushuang frowned. Regular puppet fighters, even ones like Jian Wushuang's axe whose strength equaled that of a top universe master, could not be a trump card. For a puppet fighter to be strong enough to be considered a trump card, it must be. Is it in the realm similar to the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom? Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. No. Samsara Temple Master shook his head. It's a formidable puppet fighter that is even more terrifying than the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom if its power is fully unleashed. Unfortunately, it consumes fire gems and its strength also depends on fire gems. Fire gems are so rare that I collected just a small amount of them after searching the battlefield for over 400 million years. With so few fire gems, it's impossible to unleash the puppet fighter's true power. Even if it can display similar battle strength as the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom, it can last only about 10 breaths. 5 million years ago we have even fewer fire gems. The puppet fighter didn't even have a chance to fight. I see. Understanding dawned on Jian Wushuang. In other words, we have a trump card that can counter the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom for dozens of breaths long. Yes. Samsara Temple Master solemnly nodded. Our three strongest trump cards are tactical formations, the battle fortress, and the puppet fighter. Besides, we wouldn't be stingy with resources in life and death war. We'll provide any treasures you need, be it Emperor weapons, Chaos Emperor weapons or Chaos magic treasures. You don't even need to exchange for them in the Fire Points Exchange Office. We'll also make available the secret skills in Fire Points Exchange Office. We'll equip the Dao Masters joining the battle with the most powerful Emperor weapons. We'll arm the strong ones with Chaos Emperor weapons so that they can fully unleash their power. We'll also reward each of them with 1 drop of Ancient God power. Chapter 1201, Preparing for the War. Chapter 1201, Preparing for the War. The participants will all be equipped with the strongest magic weapons and rewarded with a drop of Ancient God power? Jian Wushuang widened his eyes. Green Fire Palace was being generous indeed. It's easy to gather those magic weapons since there's an abundance in the Fire Points Exchange Office, but are there so many drops of the Ancient God power available? He asked in shock. After all the Dao Masters in the Green Fire World would be gathered for the war. It would be quite a stunning number. If each of them was rewarded with a drop of Ancient God power, they would need at least 10,000 or even hundreds of thousands of it. Even a single drop of the Ancient God power was invaluable in the eternal chaotic world. Did Green Fire Palace have so many? Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master looked at each other and smiled. To be honest, we accumulated many drops of ancient god power. Void Temple Master smiled. Never mind 10,000, we can even afford hundreds of thousands of drops of it. Since they're precious, we typically don't use them. We've been saving them for such battles. Jianwu Shuang gasped with surprise. Inside him, Gu King growled. How can they afford hundreds of thousands of drops of ancient god power? Oh, it's difficult to form even a single drop. Besides the ancient god clan in the eternal chaotic world, who can provide so many drops of the power. What on earth happened on this battlefield? Why are there so many drops of ancient god power here? Did plenty of ancient gods die here? Gu King was quite surprised and puzzled. Jianwu Shuang sighed deeply. It was no wonder that Samsara Temple Master thought that Green Fire Palace stood a 10% chance of success. There were the High Realm experts in the Green Fire world, battle formations, the battle fortress, as well as the puppet fighter that can counter the monarch of the Jiang Kingdom for a short time. Coupled that with all resources of Green Fire Palace, they did indeed stand a 10% of victory. We'll be helping our experts improve their battle strength at all costs. Then it's up to them how they'll prepare for the war. Samsara Temple Master sighed. The Great War was imminent and Green Fire Palace would do its best to prepare for it. They would try and improve the battle strength of Green Fire World at all costs. Meanwhile, everyone in the Green Fire World was stunned after receiving the message from Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master. Every expert and faction in the Green Fire World began actively preparing for the war. Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master had made it clear how crucial this war was. This war would determine the destiny of the Green Fire World. If the Green Fire World collapsed, they would all die. There was no plan B in this war. This would be a desperate fight for survival. They had no choice but to risk their lives to strive for the survival of the Green Fire World. Over in Tang of the East in the Void Continent. The ruler of Tang was still Emperor Shao. He had immediately received Tang Emperor's command. Experts above the Dao Master level, be it the Mansion Masters of the 36 prefectures, experts of all clans, or solitary experts within Tang of the East, should settle their affairs and gather in Green Fire Palace in a year's time. Tang of the East, as the largest country in the Void Continent, boasted a vast territory. It took an enormous force to manage such a large country. Yet, Tang Emperor had demanded all experts over Dao Master level in the country to head to Green Fire Palace. Without Dao Masters playing deterrence in Tang of the East, the country would be a complete mess. This fact was clear to both Tang Emperor and Emperor Shao. Even so, Tang Emperor still gave his order. Emperor Shao also implemented it without hesitation. Hurry! Dao Masters, settle your affairs immediately and gather in the Imperial Palace in a year's time. Those who violate my order will be killed. Emperor Zhao's order was decisive. No one in the country dared to disobey him. Thus, all experts above the Dao Master level began to make their preparations. Within a year, they were all gathered in the Imperial Palace and left for Green Fire Palace under Emperor Zhao's leadership. The experts over the Dao Master level of the four top clans, Ancient Monster Clan, Blood Azura Clan, Python Clan and Blood Phoenix Clan, were gathered in the Samsara continent. There were nearly 1,000 of them hovering in the air, led by the leaders of the four top clans. Some of the experts that had gone into seclusion were also present. The 266 Dao Masters and 3 Celestial Masters of our Ancient Monster Clan all here for the war. Celestial Master Ku Xian said in a booming voice. His eyes were cold and grim. The 241 Dao Masters and 4 Celestial Masters of our Blood Azura Clan are all here. The voice of Upper Elder of the clan, Su Qian, reverberated in the air. He was also the teacher of Azura Lord, Su Ro. We're the Python Clan. Aside from a Dao Master who has taken 100 of our young clansmen into seclusion, all experts over Dao Master level all here. The leader of Python Clan said. The whole Blood Phoenix Clan is here except for one Dao Master, the leader of Blood Phoenix Clan said. The only distinction in this war is between the Green Fire World and the Jiang Kingdom. Please bear that in mind. Ku Xian gave them a reminder. The 4 top clans had engaged in never-ending conflicts, be it in the open or in secret, and even got into killing battles. However, they were now thoroughly united. This was all for the Green Fire World. Go! With Ku Xian's order, the Celestial and Tao Masters of the 4 top clans immediately set off for Green Fire Palace. The solitary experts on the Green Fire world also received the message about the war. Inside a grand castle, 10 protectors kneeled in front of Empyrean Patriarch with reverence. I've always acted alone, away from anyone's influence or control. Green Fire Palace had repeatedly invited me, but I turned it all down. But I can't say no this time. When the Gene Kingdom experts arrive in 80 years, the entire Green Fire world will have to fight desperately or collapse forever. This is no other choice. This war will determine the survival of the Green Fire world as well as my own. No cultivator of the Green Fire world will be able to avoid fighting in this war. You've served under me for many years. Our chance of success is a mere 10%, but are you willing to go to Green Fire Palace with me? Empyrean Patriarch looked at the 10 protectors. We're willing to. The 10 protectors nodded as their loud voices resounded. Then let's go. Chapter 1202 Brothers Reunited. Chapter 1202, Brothers Reunited. No one could avoid this war, and neither would they want to. Within just 1 year, various Tao Masters from different clans in the Green Fire world arrived at Green Fire Palace one after another. So many people. Floating above Green Fire Palace, Jianghu was shocked when he looked down at the scene inside the palace. Within the perception range of his soul, he sensed that there were over 10,000 Tao Masters here, and even more were on their way. There were also over 100 Celestial Masters here. Nearly all the powerful forces within the Green Fire world had gathered here. There are so many of them now, but how many would survive the war? Jianghu asked. Humph. It'd be fortunate if 10% of them even survived the war. If we lose, the whole Green Fire world will be destroyed and everyone here is doomed to die. The lucky survivors will have to go to Eternal Chaotic World, Gu King replied. It's dangerous there with countless bandits running rampant. If they wander around, it would be hard for even 1 out of 10 Tao Masters to survive. I estimate that only Celestial Masters would be lucky enough to survive. Jianghu expression became sober. He clenched his fists and said, either way we cannot lose the war. Just then he spotted several familiar faces in the open space of Green Fire Palace. He immediately flew toward them. Soon he landed among the crowd. Uncle Shao and Emperor Yun. He looked at the 2 men in front of him. Jianghu. Emperor Shao looked at him with a smile. Brother Wang Yuan, second brother, and fourth sister are here too. Jianghu eyes shone with joy when he saw Wang Yuan, Yang Zishuan, and Su Rou. Third brother. They greeted Jianghu. We've gathered once again. Jianghu was once again reunited with his 3 siblings. This was their first time gathering since Su Rou's departure in the ancient world. Jianghu, Wang Yuan, and Yang Zishuan met often, but Jianghu was the only one to have met Su Rou as she was in the Samsara continent. Now that all the experts in the Green Fire world were here, there was no separation between continents and clans. Naturally they were able to reunite. Brother Wang Yuan, why have you come for the war? Jianghu asked in confusion. Only experts over the Tao Master level were qualified to participate in the war. Yang Zishuan had improved by leaps and bounds to become a Tao Master's level in a short period of time. Furthermore, thanks to his powerful bloodline, his strength was close to rival Emperor Zhao's. Su Rou, Azura Lord of the Blood Azura clan, was a formidable opponent. In addition, thanks to her Azura Eye, she commanded control over many experts. She was easily one of the main forces of Green Fire Palace. Jianghu sensed that Wang Yuan was still in the Eternal Realm, perhaps in the weak 1st or the 2nd level. Unfortunately, Eternal Realm experts could bring nothing to the table in this war. Wang Yuan forced a smile. I didn't want to, but my master forced me to come here. Your master? Jianghu was dumbfounded. Just then, a weathered elder dressed in a gray frock walked toward them at a leisurely pace. He humbly greeted them. Nice to meet you, Palace Master Wu Shuang. Jianghu raised an eyebrow. Alchemy Master. This was Alchemy Master Huqiong, Wang Yuan's master. He was also acknowledged as the top alchemist in the ancient world. Palace Master Wu Shuang, please call me Huqiong. I can't bear the title of Alchemy Master in Green Fire Palace, Huqiong said. Jianghu blinked and stifled a laugh. Huqiong was renowned as the top alchemist of the Green Fire world, but that was as far as his fame extended. There were countless monsters who had lived such long lives in Green Fire Palace. They had all made impressive contributions in refining elixirs, making formations and forging weapons. In elixir refinement alone, there were at least 5 who were more proficient than Wuxia. Wuxia was well aware of this fact himself and thus requested to be addressed by name. Senior Wuxia Wang Yuan is still in the Eternal Realm. Why did you send him here? Jian Wushuang asked in astonishment. To be honest, I told him to come here not for the war but Dan Xn Palace. Wuxia said. Dan Xn Palace? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Dan Xn Palace was the palace born on the battlefield, the one that triggered a ferocious war between Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom. Wuxia was also involved in the birth of Dan Xn Palace. But no matter how hard everyone struggled, no one could claim Dan Xn Palace. The battle was fought in vain. In the past few years, both Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom had sent experts with outstanding achievements in elixir refinement to try, but no one succeeded. Just like that, Dan Xn Palace stood in silence on that battlefield. Senior Wuxia, are you planning to take the test of Dan Xn Palace yourself or send Brother Wang Yuan there? Jian Wushuang asked. There were many stronger alchemists who had failed. I myself know I'm not strong enough for it, but my disciple might be able to do it, Wuxia said. Brother Wang Yuan? Jian Wushuang was even more puzzled. How could Wang Yuan succeed when Wuxia and the other celestial masters who were good at refining elixirs had failed? Jian Wushuang was truly skeptical. Jian Wushuang let him have a go at it. Maybe there's an opportunity waiting for him, Gu King said. Jian Wushuang was even more surprised. Gu King, do you also think that Wang Yuan will pass the test of Dan Xn Palace? I don't know about others, but I think that little fatty might stand a chance, Gu King joked. This little fatty is pretty interesting, isn't he? Interesting? Jian Wushuang was confused. Gu King snickered. He refined himself into an elixir. Isn't he interesting? What? He refined himself into an elixir? Jian Wushuang was aghast. What do you mean? His face became somber. Wang Yuan was his brother and one of few that he cared deeply about. Gu King continued to laugh. Take it easy. The little fatty will be fine. Chapter 1203, Celestial Elixir. Chapter 1203, Celestial Elixir. If I'm not mistaken, the little fatty has indeed refined himself into an elixir. In other words, he's an elixir himself, said Gu King with a slight smile. It is called the Celestial Elixir. Celestial Elixir? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. It's a peculiar and rare elixir. Its greatest feature is that it has a spiritual nature. Once it's refined, it can directly transform into a person and can even cultivate itself just like human beings. Basically, it's not much different from humans. Your brother is no different from your father, who is transformed from a sword spirit. Your father is the reincarnation of a sword spirit, while your brother is the reincarnation of a celestial elixir. He's a celestial elixir all along, but it's just that he has just metamorphosized now. Gu King laughed. I see. Jian Wushuang was still in shock. Being an elixir itself, a celestial elixir has the blessed gift of refining elixirs. Given abundant resources and provided proper conditions, he can certainly be a top alchemist in the future. Gu King added. But few celestial elixirs can be top alchemists in the eternal chaotic world. One reason is that they lack both the conditions and resources for cultivation. The other is that many cultivators covet these extraordinary celestial elixirs. If experts in the eternal chaotic world have one, their strength will improve significantly. So, once found, a celestial elixir will probably be eaten alive by powerful cultivators. Eaten alive? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Look how scared the little fatty is. He's clearly worried that someone in Green Fire Palace will find out about his identity and swallowed him. Gu King jested. Jian Wushuang looked at Wang Yuan and saw that the latter indeed looked unhappy to be here. His eyes were full of anxiety. I did not expect his origin to be so special. Jian Wushuang's expression was strange and complex. Senior Wuxia, I'll personally escort Brother Wang Yuan to Dan Xn Palace, he said. Thank you. Wuxia smiled. It's my pleasure. Wang Yuan is my brother. If he can claim Dan Xn Palace, it's great news for the Green Fire world. Jian Wushuang smiled. He then sent a message to Samsara Temple Master before setting off. Let's go, Brother Wang Yuan. Third brother, do take care of me now that you enjoy a high reputation of a palace master, Wang Yuan said unhappily. Rest assured that no one will hurt you as long as I'm here. Jian Wushuang smiled. Celestial elixir could really bring immeasurable benefits to cultivators. But it had no effect on the war. Besides, Wang Yuan was his brother. He would never allow harm to come to Wang Yuan. He left with Wang Yuan at once. Green Fire Palace was pretty far from Dan Xian Palace. It took them more than 10 years to get there. That is Dan Xian Palace. Go on and enter. Jian Wushuang pointed at the golden palace floating in front of them. The golden majestic palace had been floating there since it came into being. Though both sides had sent experts who had made notable achievement in elixir refinement to claim Dan Xian Palace in the past few years, no one succeeded. Wang Yuan raised his head to look at the palace. He swallowed uneasily before walking slowly toward it. The door to the palace swung open when Wang Yuan neared and a chubby, bald elder stepped out. The elder had a pair of small, mouse-like eyes. He was Dan Xian, the spirit of the similarly named palace. Eternal realm? The elder looked at Wang Yuan with contempt. In a scornful voice he said, "You dare claim Dan Xian Palace when you're just an eternal realm expert? Do you want to die?" Wang Yuan froze for a moment, but he could tell that the bald elder was just spirit. Undeterred, he replied, "You said once cultivation has to be less than 500,000 years and one has to have some achievements in elixir refinement. You didn't say anything about realms." "Well, you're not wrong that there's no realm limitation. You're free to try, but the same rule applies. Dig up 1,000,000 pounds of black iron and then we'll talk," the elder said with a face full of smiles. 1,000,000 pounds? Wang Yuan was shocked. Behind him, Jian Wushuang's face darkened. "Dan Xian, the war between Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom is looming. I don't have the patience to play with you. I give you two choices. Either let my brother in and begin the test or I'll kill you right now. Even if I can't kill you, I'll suppress you so you'll never see the light of day. You can try me if you think it's a joke." Jian Wushuang looked cold. The Jin Kingdom and Green Fire Palace both coveted Dan Xian Palace, which was why they left it here. However, they had such a small chance of victory in the war. Their loss would spell the destruction of the Green Fire world. Put it this way, Dan Xian Palace was useless. He had every reason to destroy the palace lest the Jin Kingdom got its hand on it. The elder immediately turned to look at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang. The bald elder narrowed his eyes because he recognized Jian Wushuang. In the Battle of Dan Xian Palace, Jian Wushuang's performance was outstanding. In fact, he even bantered with Jian Wushuang. He frowned, knowing that Jian Wushuang was not joking around. "Oh well. If you don't want to play with me, so be it. Come right in, young man," the elder said. Wang Yuan took a deep breath and entered Dan Xian Palace without hesitation. The doors closed after Wang Yuan. Surprisingly, the bald elder walked toward Jian Wushuang. He stopped right in front of Jian Wushuang. "Jian Wushuang, you said Green Fire Palace is going to war with the Jin Kingdom? Tell me more," the elder said. The elder had lived a long and lonely life. Now there was someone to talk. He definitely would not let Jian Wushuang go. Jian Wushuang merely spared him a glance with his cold eyes and nothing more. To him, the bald elder was just an old madman and freak that he did not want to bother with. Chapter 1204, A Big Surprise. Chapter 1204, A Big Surprise. Jian Wushuang waited in silence outside Dan Xian Palace, but he did not have to wait long. In just half an hour, a powerful aura burst forth from the palace. The entire palace started shaking violently. "What?" The bald elder was startled. Did he succeed? Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed with delight. Celestial elixir. That young man is a celestial elixir. The bald elder's eyes widened in shock. In an instant he flew into the palace. Jian Wushuang continued to wait until Wang Yuan came out. Wang Yuan waved his hand and the Grand Dan Xian Palace immediately began to shrink. He then put it away in his body. Wang Yuan then walked over to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang smiled at him. "Congratulations, brother Wang Yuan. It's all luck." Wang Yuan returned his smile and then handed him an interspatial ring. "What's this?" Jian Wushuang looked at the interspatial ring in confusion. "These are elixirs that I got after claiming Dan Xian Palace," Wang Yuan replied. "The test was something that the former owner of the palace left behind. Though I've passed the test, I could only obtain the elixirs on the first floor of the palace. The first floor? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. There are 4 floors inside. The higher the floor, the more precious the elixirs are. These elixirs are the ones with the poorest quality, but I think they'll be a lot of help to Green Fire Palace, Wang Yuan said. Jian Wushuang immediately took the interspatial ring and scanned it with his soul power. He was surprised and happy. He was utterly stunned. Life elixirs. There are so many of them. The interspatial ring was filled with elixirs, and most of them were life elixirs. There were thousands of them inside. Life elixirs could help a Tao master become a celestial master. 1 pellet of life elixir could help foster a celestial master. Now there were hundreds of them here. When Dan Xan Palace was born, the spirit of Dan Xan Palace intentionally threw out numerous life elixirs to attract experts. I knew then that there must be many more inside the palace, but I didn't expect there to be still so many. Jian Wushuang's body shook with excitement. Besides life elixirs, there were nirvana elixirs of a higher level. Nirvana elixirs could help foster universe masters, and there were dozens of them inside the interspatial ring. Back then, Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom had gone mad fighting over 6 nirvana elixirs. Many celestial masters had sacrificed their lives in that fight. The number of other elixirs was also terrifying. The recovery elixirs were also particularly useful. Together, all these elixirs were invaluable. This is great. Jian Wushuang tightly clenched his hands. The main force of the Jin Kingdom is coming. The battle strength of our high-level experts is far weaker than that of the Jin Kingdom. With these elixirs, we'll be able to produce thousands of celestial masters and even dozens of universe masters. What a great surprise. Surprise. It was undoubtedly a big surprise. Brother Wang Yuan, thanks a lot. Jian Wushuang said in a solemn voice as he looked gratefully at Wang Yuan. He expressed his thanks on behalf of Green Fire Palace and the entire Green Fire world. We're brothers. There's no need to say thanks. Besides, I'm also a member of the Green Fire world. It's just that I'm too weak to fight with you, so this is all I can do, Wang Yuan replied. No one in Green Fire Palace can match you in what you have done, Jian Wushuang said. Let's return immediately. All right. Wang Yuan nodded. Having obtained numerous elixirs from his brother, Jian Wushuang immediately returned to Green Fire Palace. Once he returned to Green Fire Palace, he immediately summoned the other 5 palace masters. The original bodies of these 5 palace masters were now back in Green Fire Palace, including Tang Emperor, Sunrise Sword Emperor, and Red Lotus, who had left to clean out the base of Jin Kingdom. They had destroyed as much of the foundation of the Jin Kingdom as possible. Inside a magnificent temple. Jian Wushuang, why did you summon us so urgently? Void Temple Master asked in confusion. Of course it's something important. It's also a great thing. Jian Wushuang looked at the 5 palace masters in front of him with a smile before taking out the interspatial ring that Wang Yuan gave him. Take a look. They promptly saw what was inside of the interspatial ring with their consciousness. Their eyes widened. That many elixirs? Samsara Temple Master could not help feeling shocked. More than thousands of life elixirs and dozens of nirvana elixirs. Void Temple Master was equally as astonished. Jian Wushuang, Tang Emperor stared at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang gave a slight smile. This interspatial ring isn't mine. Brother Wang Yuan obtained it from Dan Xian Palace. Dan Xian Palace? You told us that you'd be escorting someone to take the rest. Was it your brother? Samsara Temple Master asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. He's not very strong, but he's highly talented in refining elixirs. He succeeded in claiming Dan Xian Palace even though so many failed. Unfortunately, the limitations placed by the original owner of the palace meant that he could only obtain the first-level elixirs. They're all here. This is such great news. Samsara Temple Master was extremely delighted. Jian Wushuang, your brother has done a great service to our Green Fire world. Void Temple Master added. Yes, a great service indeed. It's so much greater than ours. Tang Emperor, Sunrise Sword Emperor, and Red Lotus were also thrilled. These elixirs would significantly promote the battle strength of high-level masters in the Green Fire world. This would give them so much more leverage in the war against the Jin Kingdom. We also got some life elixirs and several nirvana elixirs in the fight over Dan Xian Palace. I've been pondering about how to distribute them. After all, there are many who could use them to elevate their strength, but the elixirs are limited. If we don't distribute them well, it would inevitably result in grudges. That problem is now solved. Samsara Temple Master laughed. With so many elixirs, almost every Tao Master who is certain to make breakthroughs can get one. Chapter 1205 Stage 2. Chapter 1205, Stage 2. If each God Soul Elixir can foster a Holy Master, our Green Fire world will definitely have more than 1,000 Holy Masters. Samsara Temple Master exclaimed and clenched his fists in excitement. Besides, we also have the Nirvana Elixirs. A Nirvana Elixir pill can foster a Universe Master. In the previous battle, we were only able to acquire 4 such Elixir pills, which was not enough for us. Fortunately, now that we have several dozen Nirvana Elixir pills, every Holy Master at Exceptional Realm in our Green Fire world can have one. We can then give the remaining pills to other high-level experts with great potential. In doing so, we'll probably have 10 more Universe Masters in our Green Fire world in the near future. The Samsara Temple Master's words thrilled everyone present. More than 1,000 Holy Masters and 10 more Universe Masters. If Green Fire world has this kind of battle strength, they might have 20% or even 30% of winning, compared to just 10% before. A 30% chance of winning is much more optimistic. Void and Tang Emperor, I will leave the distribution of these pills up to your discretion, the Samsara Temple Master said. No problem, the Void Temple Master and the Tang Emperor nodded their heads. Sunrise and Red Lotus, you will be responsible for teaching the formations, and making sure that each expert in our Green Fire world has mastered the military tactics for when the war comes, the Samsara Temple Master said again. With pleasure, the Sunrise Sword Emperor and Red Lotus said with confidence. Their job was simply to teach the tactical formations. The ones would be fighting in the war would be Tao Masters and experts at the highest levels. As Tao Masters, it would not be difficult for them to master tactical formations. As for you, Jianghu Shuang, 20 years have passed already and we only have 80 left. During the remaining time, you just need to focus on increasing your strength. If you need treasures, you can go to Firepoint Exchange Office directly. If what you need isn't there, tell me and I'll collect it for you. The Samsara Temple Master looked at Jianghu Shuang seriously. You're the strongest expert in the Green Fire world now. No one within the Green Fire world can compete with your strength. In the coming war, your strength will play a great role in the future of the Green Fire world. Therefore, the only thing you need to do now is focus on increasing your power. I know. Jianghu Shuang nodded his head slightly. After a moment's thought, he continued, I already have enough treasures to improve my battle strength. What I really need now is some ancient god power as much as possible. Ancient god power? The Samsara Temple Master lifted his eyebrows, saying with a smile on his face, there's some remaining ancient god power in my Green Fire Palace. How much do you need? Not too much, maybe around 2,000 drops. Jianghu Shuang said. Haha, I can give you 3,000 drops. You as much as you would like. Samsara Temple Master said. Jianghu Shuang nodded. Ancient god power would indeed play an important role in his plans. After all, he was an ancient god himself, a 4-star ancient god of imperial kinsmen. Ancient god power contained the pure strength of an ancient god, which Jianghu Shuang could absorb completely. However, he had tried to improve his strength with only a few drops before, which had little effect on his performance. Now, with even more ancient god power, perhaps consuming all of it at once would succeed in increasing his power by a significant amount. As a 4-star ancient god of imperial kinsmen, so he could reach the 4-star peak realm shortly after absorbing a large amount of ancient god power. Only after reaching the peak realm of ancient god, could he try to activate the Stage 2 power of the blood-killing plate armor, as well as promote his own strength. The Stage 1 power had increased his battle strength by 10 times, so he believed that once activated, the Stage 2 power could improve his strength even more drastically. Without much delay, the Samsara Temple Master personally delivered the 3,000 drops of ancient god power he had promised. Alone in a secret chamber, Jianghu Shuang sat cross-legged with drops of ancient god power floating in front of him. Let's begin. Jianghu Shuang gaze fixed onto a drop of power as he lead it into his body. In less than 15 minutes he had absorbed the entire drop. When the drop had completely melded with his body, Jianghu Shuang could feel that his power had increased slightly. There's only 50 years left before the main force of Jin Kingdom is arriving. I must reach the peak realm of 4 stars during these years. Jianghu Shuang held his hands tightly and fierce gaze fell across his face. Keep going. Jian Wushuang continued to cultivate alone in this secret chamber as he had been for many years. In the Green Fire Palace, the experts coming from all over the world were preparing for the final war. All Dao Masters who were extremely powerful and had a large chance of achieving a breakthrough into Holy Master received a gold soul elixir. With the aid of the elixir, they all ascended to the status of Holy Master. Only a few of the Holy Masters also received Nirvana elixirs. At the same time, the Sunrise Sword Emperor and Red Lotus were focusing on training all the experts to master their tactical formations, trying their best to make the experts cooperate in a harmonious way. Everyone was actively preparing for the coming war. The 50 years sped by until there was only 1 year left before the Jin Kingdom's arrival. In the secret chamber, under the careful control of Jian Wushuang, another drop of ancient god power was absorbed into his body. It was the 1796th drop. As its power spread through his body, Jian Wushuang started to tremble slightly. After a while, his body shook violently for a second and a strong aura spread around him. Peak realm of 4 stars. Jian Wushuang blinked with astonishment in his eyes. He had reached the 4-star ancient god 1,500 years before. After consuming 1,796 drops of ancient god power, he finally reached the peak realm. Then he started to activate the stage 2 power of blood-killing plate armor. Surely I can also activate the stage 2 power of my armor. Jian Wushuang was excited. When he had become a Dao Master and his ancient god power had reached the 4-star level, he found that he could not activate the stage 2 power of blood-killing plate armor. But now that he was at the peak realm of 4 stars, he might have just enough strength to activate it. Jian Wushuang, as he activated the second stage, power surged through him. Since the first stage of power increased my strength by 10 times, will this stage increase it by 20 times? Chapter 1206, The Arrival. Chapter 1206, The Arrival. More than 20 palace masters of the Green Fire Palace gathered in a splendid hall within the palace. 80 years. During the 80-year preparation for war, the force of the Green Fire world had greatly improved, with the help of Nirvana elixirs and God Soul elixirs. The greatest change was the increased number of high-level experts. 80 years ago, there had been only 6 palace masters with the battle strength of a universe master, including Jian Wushuang in the Green Fire Palace. Now there were 21 palace masters in the Green Fire Palace. They had also managed to foster 15 universe masters during the short 80 years. At this moment, all of the universe masters, including Holy Master Yun, were looking at the scene at the center of the palace. At the center of the palace, the portal that had been there was still present, but the spaceship moving through it had come considerably closer. Under the anxious gaze of the experts, the spaceship finally broke through the portal and landed only the vast battlefield. It's here. It's finally here. The Samsara Temple Master clasped his hands together. The war to decide fate of our Green Fire world is finally here. The Void Temple Master ground his teeth together in anticipation. We have been waiting for this moment for so long. The Tang Emperor's eyes were full of cold resolve. 80 years ago, when they first received information of the coming war, the Green Fire Palace was full of panic, and even the palace masters were shocked. Things were different now. With 80 years of preparation and the help of all the elixirs they had obtained, the extent of the Green Fire world's power had grown greatly, and they renewed confidence in their ability to win the war. Now, some were even looking forward to the war itself. Everyone, settle down as we wait for the Jin Kingdom, the Sunrise Sword Emperor said with a serious tone. We must all fight bravely in this war, the Samsara Temple Master boomed. One by one, the palace master's eyes flashed with determination. Suddenly, an expansive battlefield appeared within the void. The ancient spaceship soared across several planes with terrifying speed, screeching to a halt at the mouth of a secret canyon. Whoosh! The shadow of a figure flashed within a cave, deep inside the canyon. Red Snow welcomes my lord. The Red Snow King knelt in front of the spaceship respectfully. Quickly, the shield surrounding the ship was unlocked and the Red Snow King stood to enter it. At the center of the spaceship was a magnificent hall. The handsome monarch of the Jin Kingdom wore a luxurious golden robe, and looked down at the Red Snow King kneeling in front of him. 5 million years ago, I ordered you launch a sneak attack against our enemy. Unfortunately, your unit was sucked into the space storm and disappeared. This loss was a huge blow to the Jin Kingdom. The monarch said coldly. Hearing the tone of his sovereign's voice, the Red Snow King trembled. I would have executed you for your mistakes, but luckily for you, you found this hidden base after being drawn into the snowstorm, which has contributed to the growth of the Jin Kingdom. Your merits offset your faults but only by a little. I will not blame you for your actions anymore, so get up, declared the monarch. Thank you for your mercy, my lord. The Red Snow King quickly struggled to his feet, relieved. How is the fight going? The monarch of the Jin Kingdom asked. Since our base near this battlefield was destroyed by the Green Fire Palace, the palace masters have continued to search for other bases from the Jin Kingdom, and have occupied them one by one. Almost all of our remaining experts have been killed by them already, and as of now, the force that we have at this battlefield is extremely weak, the Residential Snow King answered. And what of Jianghu Shuang? Did he manage to achieve a breakthrough during these 80 years? The monarch of the Jin Kingdom asked. The monarch of the Jin Kingdom didn't care about the loss of their camps or the growing the number of green fire experts at all. He only cared about Jianghu Shuang. He was the only one who could pose an actual threat to his life. Jianghu Shuang, the Red Snow King, was silent for a while. He shook his head and said, according to my spy in the Green Fire world, the Green Fire Palace has been preparing for this war for the past 80 years. As for any information on Jianghu Shuang, he stays within the Green Fire Palace at all times, so I don't know if he has broken through. Jianghu Shuang does have great talent in cultivation, and is even considered by many to be a monster. However, since he just had a breakthrough 80 years ago, I highly doubt that his strength has improved by much. Is that so? The monarch of the Jin Kingdom lifted his eyebrow and waved his hand carelessly, saying, let's go, we will send a greeting to the Green Fire Palace. Following his order, the spaceship barreled toward the Green Fire Palace at an extraordinary speed. The spaceship's level was even higher than Jianghu Shuang's, and any normal dangers that existed were easily avoided as they sped across the battlefield. Even the more dangerous areas were avoided with the help of the Red Snow King. A few days later, the ancient spaceship landed in front of the Green Fire Palace. They were about 10 miles away from the palace itself. My lord, the Green Fire Palace is located just ahead. The Red Snow King pointed in the direction of the palace and continued, it's a huge battle fortress, but has been greatly damaged by our attack 5 million years ago. It can now only activate a few of its former tactics. Having said this, the palace and its power as a battle fortress was the only reason why I did not achieve victory in our last attack. Battle fortress. The monarch of the Jin Kingdom sneered and said, I suppose it is still valuable to them even with all of the damages. But there is nothing to worry about, I have also prepared and I have ways to deal with the fortress. Lord Jin Feng. A calm and beautiful woman sitting by a table looked at the monarch and said, are you going to use your weapon to destroy the fortress? There's no need to rush into things. The monarch of the Jin Kingdom dismissed her query with a flick of a hand and continued, I have spent 5 million years preparing for this battle. It won't be fun for anyone if I just destroy the Green Fire Palace. I want to play a game with them first. Longshu. The monarch's voice boomed. Chapter 1207 Challenge. Chapter 1207 Challenge. A massive figure nearly 3 meters in height entered the hall. He wore a shining scarlet armor, a scarlet helmet and a pair of war boots, and carried a blood-red saber on his back. This was a killing machine. The murderous aura that surrounded him was so strong that one could almost see a glint of red in his eyes. My lord. The figure bowed to the monarch of the Jin Kingdom. I know that you've been looking for an opponent who could match you skills for a while. I found such an opponent for you right there within the battle fortress. His name is Jianghu Shuang. The monarch challenged. Jianghu Shuang. The scarlet figure raised his head and asked, does he have the invincible universe master battle strength? Undoubtedly. The monarch nodded his head. Amazing. The scarlet figure in a dangerous tone, anticipation flickering in his eyes. Go. Kill him as soon as you have the chance to. The monarch ordered. Yes, my lord. The scarlet figure nodded his head and turned to leave. After the scarlet figure was gone, the monarch of the Jin Kingdom continued, Red Snow, you can leave. I will give you your orders later. Yes, my lord. The Red Snow King left immediately. In the Green Fire Palace, the massive battle fortress was activated, with numerous shields blanketing the palace. It was as solid as an iron bucket. Meanwhile, the experts staying at the battle fortress of the Green Fire World had already taken notice of the spaceship's arrival. That is the warship of the Jin Kingdom. The experts of the Green Fire World were stared at the ship with anger and determination in their cold faces. The war was about to start. The palace masters gathered right at the center of the void within the Green Fire Palace. The Samsara Temple Master looked around and said, "The Jin Kingdom has sent spies in our Green Fire World, so they must know we have gathered all the experts who have passed the rank of Tao Master. However, they might not know that we took elixirs from the Loyalty Palace that have greatly elevated the battle strength of our high-level cultivators. Now, the Jin Kingdom must think that our battle strength is about the same as before. They might think we only have 6 palace masters and around 200 holy masters. We can use this chance to surprise the Jin Kingdom with a heavy blow." "Yes, we can," Jian Wushuang and the others all agreed. The fact that the Jin Kingdom's understanding of them hadn't grown in 80 years was a huge advantage to them. "The main force of the Jin Kingdom has arrived, but we have no clue as to when they will launch their attack," the Samsara Temple Master said. "We don't have to worry about when they start their attack, we have already prepared," the Void Temple Master said seriously. The palace masters around nodded their heads. After 80 years, Green Fire World at present was well prepared. Suddenly, a scarlet streak flew towards them from the direction of the spaceship. "Someone is coming," Red Lotus said. All the other palace master looked in the direction of the ship. They only sent one person. What is he going to do? Shock filled the faces of the palace masters. The red figure halted 10,000 miles away from the fortress. The scarlet figure looked toward the battle fortress with blood and anger in his eyes, but no matter how he tried, he could not see who was inside the battle fortress due to the protections around it. But then his horrible voice echoed out and spread across the vast distance. "I am the first general of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom, Long Su King. Jian Wushuang, do you dare to battle with me in a fight to the finish?" His challenge spread through the fortress, surprising all the experts inside. Is he challenging someone? He came alone? Did he challenge Palace Master Wushuang? Palace Master Wushuang is the most powerful man in the Green Fire World. This man is just asking to die. Voices filled the battle fortress, and most of the Tao Masters around the edge of the palace were clumped together to discuss the sudden appearance of the lone scarlet figure, Long Su King. In the gathering of palace masters at the void, animosity toward the Long Su King was written clearly across their faces. He dares to challenge Jian Wushuang. The Samsara Temple Master frowned slightly and said, "Jian Wushuang is the best expert of our Green Fire Palace and widely recognized as a prodigy. He could be considered the backbone of our Green Fire World. But even before the war has started, the monarch of the Jin Kingdom dares to issue a challenge to him? The Jin Kingdom monarch seems to have a plan." Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He and the other experts sensed a motive behind the monarch's actions. The challenge from the Long Su King seemed normal at first, but there was definitely more to it. After all, he was challenging Jian Wushuang, the spiritual backbone of the Green Fire World. If he failed in this challenge, their morale would suffer a heavy blow. If the best cultivator on their side couldn't beat a lowly general from the Jin Kingdom, what damage could the Tao Masters or even the Holy Masters do? During the 80 years, the Samsara Temple Master had tried his best to build their confidence, but he worried that this one challenge might destroy all his efforts. And even if Jian Wushuang managed to beat the general, the outcome wouldn't have a negative effect on the Jin Kingdom's morale. Their monarch was even more powerful than this general that they had sent. Their strength is far superior to ours, but the Jin monarch is still choosing to attack us in stages to harm our morale. What a prudent man. Temple Master Void said. It said that the Long Su King is the best general under the monarch, and he can even compete with the Red Snow King. Judging by this, he is almost unbeatable. Jian Wushuang, will you accept his challenge? The Samsara Temple Master asked of Jian Wushuang. The other palace masters around also looked to him. Jian Wushuang thought for a moment and nodded his head. I will accept. You will? The Samsara Temple Master was a little bit shocked. Our enemy has come to our territory to issue a challenge. If I don't face him, our morale will be greatly influenced, so I have no choice but to fight him. Jian Wushuang said resolutely. Are you sure you can win? The Samsara Temple Master frowned. Win? Jian Wushuang smiled. Of course. Chapter 1208 Long Su King. Chapter 1208, Long Su King. Are you sure? The eyes of Samsara Temple Master and the Palace Masters around shone immediately. Guys, I just go ahead. Jian Wushuang clasped his hands together toward these Palace Masters. I will order everyone to get ready for the battle. As for that Long Su King, we are waiting for your good news. Samsara Temple Master said seriously. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. Then, quick as a flash, he moved toward the void where Long Su King was located. Passing through the restrictions above the battle fortress, Jian Wushuang showed up in front of Long Su King after a short while. His appearance caused an uproar in the cultivators inside the battle fortress. It's Palace Master Wushuang. Palace Master Wushuang accepts the challenge. Let's see how miserable that Long Su King will be. Numerous Dao Masters started to expect what would happen next. In the void. Long Su King? Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice. He was shocked when getting close to Long Su King. His killing intent is so horrible. He doesn't seem like a human but more like a killing machine. Jian Wushuang thought. Wave after wave of coldness surged out of Long Su King's eyes as Jian Wushuang showed up. You are that Jian Wushuang? Just a Dao Master? Long Su King asked in a cold tone. Yes, you're right. But it's sufficient to kill you with my strength. Jian Wushuang said. How arrogant you are. Long Su King sneered and said, I have followed my monarch to go to wars for nearly 10 million years and have killed uncountable universe masters. I have even encountered 3 invincible universe masters during these years. And I fought all of them face to face. I won every battle and have even directly killed 2 of them. You, however, are the 4th expert that I've encountered who possesses the battle strength of an invincible universe master. Show me all your strength. Or else you will follow in the footsteps of the other 2 invincible universe masters. Long Su King stressed every word. His voice reverberated throughout this space and even traveled to the battle fortress. The expressions of the experts in the battle fortress changed as they heard those words. Long Su King is an invincible universe master as expected. Tang Emperor said coldly. Besides, he must be one of the strongest invincible universe masters. If what he has just said is true, his strength must be quite terrifying. I wonder whether Jian Wushuang could fight him head-on. Samsara Temple Master had a worried look on his face. The other palace masters also felt oppressed. If Jian Wushuang failed in this challenge, the morale of the experts in the Green Fire world must degenerate greatly. In the battle fortress, many experts of the Green Fire world became quiet. Jian Wushuang. My 3rd brother. Emperor Shao, Emperor Yun, and Jian Wushuang's 3 good brothers all gathered there, clenching their fists tightly and staring at that void. My junior brother. Jian Wushuang's 3 senior brothers, Shui Lingtian, Purple Mountain, and Bai, who also stayed at a corner of the battle fortress. They were all Dao Masters, so they naturally joined the Green Fire Palace. Over the past 80 years they had several reunions with Jian Wushuang indeed. And another 3 figures stood not far away from them. They were the sect masters of the Firmament Territory's 3 magnates. The 3 sect masters had come into contact with Jian Wushuang. Back then, Jian Wushuang lived in the Firmament Territory and he was merely a little boy in their eyes. They had not expected to see him becoming an expert who they should look upon after thousands of years. Though plenty of high-level experts of the Green Fire world gathered in this battle fortress presently, Jian Wushuang was their real spiritual backbone. How about these 3 sect masters? They were just normal soldiers in this war. As a result, they could not help sighing for being fooled by the fate. At another corner, Empyrean Patriarch stood there and had mixed feeling as he looked at the figure at the end of his line of sight. Jian Wushuang, you have killed my son and are my sworn enemy. I wish to peel off your skin and drink your blood. However, today's war determines the life and death of the Green Fire world. I hope you could win. Win? You have to win. Palace Master Wushuang, you must win. Numerous experts of the Green Fire world shouted in their minds. In that void, Jian Wushuang's expression was peaceful, but he could not relax his vigilance for any moment. His eyes rolled slightly and glanced at the battle fortress behind him. It seemed that he could see the expectant faces of many cultivators through the restrictions. He took a deep breath and lifted his head again. There was a touch of firmness in his eyes that had never been seen before. I must win this challenge and it has to be a nice victory. Let's fight. Jian Wushuang screamed out and the Blood Mountain sword appeared in his hand. Ah! Even my monarch appreciates your supper talent, so come and let me see what are you capable of. Long Su King burst into laughter. Then he took a huge step forward. The void under his feet immediately turned into powder as he unsheathed the blood-red saber on his back. Blood Shadow Dao. Long Su King's thunderous shout shook the heaven and earth. The blood-red saber in his hand transferred into a horrible, blood-red blood shadow. It seemed to have come from the hell and could destroy everything into ashes. Boom! The heaven and earth turned dark. With unstoppable killing intent, the blood shadow locked Jian Wushuang up completely. A unique skill? Jian Wushuang was a little bit shocked. Long Su King unleashed a unique skill for his first attack and its power was absolutely out of the ordinary. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted and also stepped forward. At the same time he held his Blood Mountain sword up high. The whole heaven and earth became totally dark. Darkness and quietness reigned this area. Suddenly a flash of sword light shone. It was so dazzling that it seemed like the dawn light. It was another unique skill, the dawn light. Jian Wushuang directly swung his blade at his foe. One unique skill was facing the other. A flash of sword light and a blood shadow collapsed fiercely. The impact of this collision could be compared with the clash of two fixed stars. Bomb! A booming sound resounded throughout this area, as if the heaven and earth cracked. At the center of the collision, space was totally torn into pieces like scraps of papers, spreading around 100 miles away immediately. The effective range of this collision got involved in a space storm. The space storm contained a horrible shearing force, which could easily tear down masters or even celestial masters into dust. Chapter 1209, Do the Best. Chapter 1209, Do the Best. Silence. The whole battle fortress fell into silence. Everyone looked at what had happened in front of them with horrified expressions on their faces and they felt scared about the space storm which had spread over tens of thousands of miles far. Too strong, they are too strong. Many cultivators felt their throats getting dry. Except for Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master, and a few high-level experts, even those palace masters who had newly become universe masters with the help of the Nirvana elixirs felt frightened and panic. Although they were universe masters just like the two combatants, either Jian Wushuang or Long Su King was far more powerful than any of them. No, Jian Wushuang is at a disadvantage. Samsara Temple Master said as his pupils contracted. The other palace masters concentrated their attention on the battle as well. As expected, when the two unique skills were unleashed in a head-to-head battle, Jian Wushuang was obviously the underdog. He rolled backward under the attack of the blood shadow. Haha, let's continue. Long Su King's crazy laugh resounded through this space. Although he was affected by the impact of the clash, he just stopped for a short while before launching another attack again. However, Jian Wushuang was still retreating. Before he regained his balance again, Long Su King had arrived in front of him. Blood Mountain Dao. Long Su King screamed and his figure descended from the sky like an eagle. He brandished his blood-red saber again. This strike was of great momentum. His saber turned into a huge blood-red mountain that came crushing down upon Jian Wushuang with great strength and horrible pressure. Under the pressure of the saber shadow, Jian Wushuang felt that all of his bones were going to be crushed. Is it another unique skill? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Long Su King indeed had incredibly powerful strength given that he had defeated 3 invincible universe masters before. Surprisingly, he was even able to create 2 unique skills by himself. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted. Since he had not stood firmly, he did not have enough time to use his dawn light to resist his opponent's attack. The only thing he could do was to hold his Blood Mountain sword up high. Clang! A muffled sound rang out as an overwhelming and mighty power came crushing down upon Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's body shook and he let out a muffled voice. Then he fell to the ground like a falling stone. Bomb! There was a huge sinkhole with a 1,000-mile radius appeared on the ground where Jian Wushuang's body landed. It was bottomless and was at least hundreds of feet deep. The expressions of the Green Fire World experts in the battle fortress changed as they saw the scene. Long Su King was still quietly floating in the void above the fortress, looking down the hole below. Trash! He shouted in a cold voice. My monarch said you're a genius. Now, however, you're nothing in my eyes. You've barely risen into the invincible universe master level. As such, you're much weaker than the 3 invincible universe masters I've met before. I was thinking that you should be a good opponent. Jian Wushuang, you totally fail me. Long Su King's ironic words echoed around this space. Upon hearing his words, the faces of the experts from the Green Fire world turned pale. Right at this moment, bang. Suddenly, a horrible blast of sword essence burst out from the bottom of that sinkhole. A figure flew out directly and showed up in front of Long Su King again. With a blob of blood left on the corner of his mouth, Jian Wushuang was in a sorry fashion. However, his aura had not weakened. Long Su King, Jian Wushuang said while looking at him. Huh. Long Su King looked indifferent. It seems that I have thought too much of you. You have unleashed all your skills, haven't you? Jian Wushuang shook his head and sighed. What? Long Su King's eyes looked cold. Just now, he considered Jian Wushuang as a trash who had failed him. Now, however, Jian Wushuang satirized his strength on the contrary. Boy, can you only win by your words? Long Su King snorted. Huh. Jian Wushuang laughed and continued, you'll know that soon enough. When he was speaking, the power of the Blood Mountain sword he held enhanced a little bit. Jian Wushuang, you finally intend to go to any length? Gu King's voice suddenly sounded. Of course. Jian Wushuang smiled and answered, I need to win this challenge in a smooth and neat way. By this, the morale of the experts in our Green Fire world can skyrocket again. But I didn't know Long Su King's true strength before. Therefore, it was too difficult for me to defeat him decently. Now, however, I have figured out what he is capable of. Thus, it's time for me to show him my true strength. Jiang Wushuang was chatting with Gu King in his mind, but his eyes turned extremely cold. Kill? Jian Wushuang shouted and dashed outward. Ridiculous. I'll see what you can do. Long Su King's eyes turned grim and he moved forward swiftly as well. Right at the moment when he was about to crash into Jian Wushuang, he brandished his blood-red saber again. Blood Fire Dao. The blade light landed as blood-red flames covered the whole sky. For a second, the void with a 1 miles radius turned into a sea of fire. Long Su King, however, was the dominator of the sea of fire. Is it still a unique skill? Jian Wushuang lifted his eyebrows. Long Su King had displayed 2 unique skills before, and now he unleashed the third one. It was really awesome for a universe master to create 3 unique skills. No matter how many unique skills you have created, they are of the same power. Jian Wushuang sneered and lifted the Blood Mountain sword. The whole area fell into darkness once again. As expected, it was also the dawn light. When he saw the scene, a touch of disdain flashed through Long Su King's eyes. He had experienced this blow just now. Though it was an authentic unique skill, its power was really ordinary. Each one of the 3 unique skills he had created could outclass Jian Wushuang's in terms of power. The same person employs the same swordsmanship will lead the same result. Long Su King shouted. The raging blood-red fire suddenly formed into a huge wave, rolling toward Jian Wushuang madly. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang's mouth twisted in a contemptuous sneer. When he activated the Dawn Light swordsmanship, the abundant ancient god power inside his body was totally unleashed. Jian Wushuang activated the 4-star ancient god power with the aid of his spiritual power. The most important was that he aroused the power of stage 2 blood-killing plate armor at the same time. Of course, when fighting against Long Su King previously, he had only triggered its stage 1 power. But now he did his best. It seemed that there was only a slight difference between the stage 1 power and the stage 2's. In fact, it enabled Jian Wushuang to exert a power that was 10 times more powerful than his original one. Therefore, when Jian Wushuang unleashed the Dawn Light swordsmanship with all his strength, its power became several times greater than the last time. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.